With the support of the Ministry of Finance of the Republic of Uzbekistan and the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, we hosted a capacity building program on equity financing and the initial public offering process in Tashkent from the 24th of August until the 9th of September 2022. The program was supported by the Japan-EBRD Cooperation Fund. The main purpose of the capacity building was to transfer know-how on equity financing and the IPO process, build a domestic Uzbek IPO community, and create a local IPO network that includes potential issuers, underwriters, lawyers, auditors, investors, regulators, the Capital Markets Development Department of the Ministry of Finance of the Republic of Uzbekistan, the Tashkent Stock Exchange. The training provided the relevant theoretical and practical knowledge needed for all actors involved in the IPO and SPO processes. We went through each step of the IPO process, looking into great detail what is the role of each member of the IPO's team within the company. We created an IPO manual for Uzbekistan that was translated in Russian and Uzbek. The 150-page manual covers practical issues of how to prepare and transform a company from private or state-owned into a public company, a detailed overview of the IPO process, and shows different valuation techniques. All the trainings and workshops took place in the Ministry of Finance Training Center. In the coffee breaks, we provided coffee, tea, compote, and the homemade samsa and cakes. The training consisted of 20 modules as well as 9 workshops where we had invited different guest speakers representing the different counterparts involved during the IPO process. The modules were structured in a very interactive way where the participants worked on and presented case studies, group work, and actively discussed their views and shared own opinion in the form of polls and constructive feedback. To demonstrate what they have learned and to put it in practice, each participating company had to design and present their first investor presentation. The companies were supported in the preparation of their presentations by the domestic underwriters, who also took place in the training. Each company had to present at least 3 unique reasons why investors should buy their shares and what made them stand out from their competitors. They also had to analyze potential risks and discuss ways how to mitigate them and how to improve their corporate governance. The training participants also learned how to do industry forecasts and how to incorporate those when doing their 3 to 5 year budgeting and financial planning. After each presentation, we gave the presenters feedback from the perspective of the investors and what they did well and what they could improve. We all learned from each other. And to put everything that we learned into practice, we did 2 role-play games to illustrate how the IPO roadshow works. The first one was about issuing corporate debt and how to price the bonds in a very interactive dynamic discussions. The second role-play game was doing an IPO roadshow, book building, pricing and allocating the shares. In each role-play, the participants were divided into issuers, underwriters, book runners, and different investor types. Each party had to calculate their own price range using the discounted cash flow method, where different assumptions like projected sales growth, increasing gas prices, geopolitical risks were considered in the IPO price setting. Finally, all parties managed to narrow the price range and agree on a price, successfully completing their first IPO with a book that was well oversubscribed. To build and expand the domestic and regional IPO community, we hosted 9 networking workshops. Kinsteller were the first guests who flew in from Almaty to share their experience of issuing Uzbek and Kazakh sovereign and corporate bonds and walked us through a case study on dual listing. Avest Investment Group, Portfolio Investments and Mosaic talked about the role of the underwriter, how they can help the issuers, and particular things that the issuer should pay attention to through the IPO process, giving a very practical overview of the process itself. The Tashkent Stock Exchange presented an overview of the listing requirements and the role of the exchange. The Ministry of Finance of the Republic of Uzbekistan talked about how they currently support the capital markets development and discuss what they can do further to support the market through the IPO process and the companies themselves. The Central Depository also discussed their role in the IPO process. From the investor perspective, the portfolio manager of AFC Uzbekistan Fund, that's the first Uzbekistan-only equity dedicated fund, discussed the requirements of institutional investors and what the issuers should pay attention to. Ernst & Young flew in their Central Asia team from Almaty to present the role of the auditor in the IPO process, discuss the growing importance of ESG and the need to address ESG at an early stage, and walked step by step through the IPO process. The EBRD discussed the role and requirements of development financial institutions in equity financing, pre-privatization financing, and how they can support state-owned companies through the privatization and the IPO process. Each one of those guest speakers gave us the opportunity to ask questions, exchange contacts, and stayed after their workshops for networking, which helped us all to build the Uzbek local and regional IPO community. It is a real pleasure to work with such motivated people that want to transform their companies, be the first ones to do IPOs, and develop the Uzbek capital market. Thank you to the Ministry of Finance of the Republic of Uzbekistan, the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, and the Japanese government for making this training happen.